Right, I'm going to show you some tricks that I've learned in Logic. Don't mind me if I sound like a dick on this. Right, I've got my track laid out. I color each instrument group, do whatever color I like, and then also in the mixer, color them the same. It's just one of those things that sped things up for me once I learned to do that. First trick that like really helped me with mixing was on the master channel, add a gain plugin. Just there, go over here. Gain, audio, it's in utility, gain, stereo. On that, ignore everything else, just click on that mono button, click it on. Right, that means now whenever you have this gain plugin turned on, your mix is in mono. And when you turn it off, it goes back to stereo. The trick is just turn on the gain and make it mono. And this is when you're doing your first mix. You've got no effects, nothing applied, just your tracks all organized, ready to mix. Maybe you turn everything down, turn that gain on, and try to forget about it. And then mix everything, mix your levels. Maybe add some EQs, compressors. Get it as solid as you can, and even like forget that that's in mono. Do your panning, do all your your reverbs, all your usual mixing stuff, and then turn the gain off, and the difference, like everything just becomes 3D. It's a great way to test out a mix too if you've already mixed it and you want to see if things aren't coming through in the mix. I'll see if I don't know if you'll be able to hear the difference here, but I'll play this for you. Everything just jumps out, becomes 3D. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear that clearly through this recording, but what I do is when I'm mixing, when I'm ready to do the mix, I've got everything tidied up, because a lot of the time you're mixing when you go along when you're recording. When I get to the end of that stage, I bounce every track down, bring it into this default template that I'm telling you about, and everything's ready to go. And then I color everything, chop it all down, edit it, neaten everything up, put the mono on, and then basically mix. And a good usually works out pretty well. A good thing to do is to take a section of the song where every instrument's in. For me, it's always like the breakdown at the end, or the big bit where everything kicks in. Take as long a section as you want, like a loop like that, and mix that section. And generally speaking, this is before you get to any automation. The other areas of the track should sort of be in a good balance then. You can go back then and play it and just start adjusting things. If you need to automate things to go up and down, you can do that. Right, the other thing I was telling you about when I was trying to explain about having like a default session is to have all your reverb sends set up. So I've gone into the mixer. I've set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ignore these ones for now. I've set up these, and they're all 0. And I put in a bus. You go in and you press bus, and you do channel whatever. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I've called this one reverb short, reverb medium, reverb long, delay short, and delay long. And I've added exactly what I want on each of these. So I've basically picked a small reverb that I really like the sound of, a medium reverb that I really like the sound of, and a large reverb that I really like the sound of. I can go into that in detail at a later point, but basically I've over time got used to certain sounds I like. The brilliant thing about this is now with all 3 of these turned up, that is a space created. If you visualize it, if you send any track into that space, it feeds back on itself. So basically, if you've got a vocal, I'll actually show you. So as my mind is in its cage. So vocal part. Oh shit, I can't hear myself. What do I do? Hello? Shit. Hello. Sorry. Obviously that's feeding in the microphone somewhere. Hopefully it'll stop, yeah. Right, so if I go to the there's another one. Fuck. And so there, I've got the vocal there on the left. And I want, rather than adding what I used to do, what most people might do is they go on and they go, I want a reverb. I want it to be, I don't know, sort of large. You select your reverb. You might go for space designer, turn it on, adjust that for that one track in that one space, and it'll sound good on its own, and then it usually will sound alright in the mix. But the better thing to do is go to this and go bus, and I say at this point I'm on vocal verse, so I want maybe a bit of a medium reverb and a bit of a large one. Click there, turn it up a little bit. If you turn it up to 0, it sends the full signal on. You're duplicating your signal, so you're going through into the reverb channel, and that's on top. That plays on top of the actual vocal verse. So you want to just add a little bit. Basically, listen. What I do though for vocals, as an example, rather than adding the vocal reverb alone onto that one vocal track, I've got loads of vocals here. So I'll take all my lead tracks, these ones, and then I will bus them. As you see here, they're on a bus to bus 31, which is Vox. Let me just show you the mixer. So over here, you set up some sort of, I guess, master instrument groups: string, Vox, background, Vox, and then I've got my parallel drum compression. Usually I will set up a drum group, guitars, vocals, all basically you can split all your main instruments into like 4 or 5 subgroups, and then you can turn them down through here, which is a great function. I haven't done it on this track, but yeah, I've got all my vocals going through dry. They're all bussed straight rather than go out to stereo. They go out bus 31, which I've set up here, bus 31. I just clicked whatever one was available and automatically renames it then, as you can see here, Vox, verse, everything that's going through it. So that's 31. Then I can add that reverb that I was just talking about onto this one vocal group, so all my vocals are going through the same space. This is where it gets really, really cool. So I've got reverb long, and I can turn it up there. I've got a short reverb, medium reverb. It's basically, I'm sure you know all this obviously, but reverb is depth. So you've got your short reverb will create like a small depth, medium, and the large will be further away. So basically, as you turn that up, in theory, it sounds like it's further behind in the mix. And then your delays are exactly the same. I've got delay short, delay long. I've set up 2 that I like. I've even got this big delay feeding back into the large reverb. Should turn that down a little bit. And that'll basically widen it. That'll create the space from left to right in the mix. As I said, you can go through any instrument you're working on. You can feed, as you can see, I've fed quite a bit of them through the reverb large and the delay large. They all feed through, and then you can even solo the reverbs and delays and just hear what you're actually, the space that you're creating. You're basically creating another layer behind the mix, and it's quite interesting to listen to. So that's literally the space you've created behind the actual dry elements. You can also EQ these reverbs. You can cut out the low end. You can do effects. Then you can even turn them down from here, which is really handy as well. I usually leave them up and adjust everything from the other end. But at the very end of a mix, I could turn everything up or turn everything down and really change the space. We already talked about New York drums. Set up basically a bus, call it whatever you want, parallel compressor, drum compressor, sidechain compressor, whatever. I add a little bit of EQ, just boosting there, boosting the high end. I don't know why I've done that. And lowering the mids a little bit. And then you turn that just down a little bit. You can actually turn it right down, and then when you bring it up, you can hear the difference. So I fed my kick here. So that's going bus, down to there, New York drums, and you turn that to 0. So it's sending the full kick into New York drums. That's why you've got the New York drums turned down quite a bit. So you're just bringing that in, so it subtly boosts whatever you put through. So the kick and the snare, and things like that. But you can also set up a sidechain compressor for every lead instrument as well, which is another thing I never did until recently. Let's see. I think that was everything I wanted to show you. I'll show you the song actually, just in general, how I built it, because there's a lot of layers underneath that really give it depth, and it might help you with your songwriting, or even adding stuff to the mix that you might not realize is there. So the song's pretty simple. I'll not go through it too long. I've got my piano. The piano's got quite a lot of the low end rolled off, because the bass makes up for it. I've got my bass. You'll find too with mixing is that some elements, like piano especially, won't sound good anymore on their own. It's about making elements sound good in the mix together. You might solo any layer at one point, it'll sound weak or thin or whatever, but if it works part of the mix, that's something that I had to get my head around for a long time. And it always happens with piano, that it sounds weak after. It sounds really thin. Next I've got these strings. Basically it's a plugin. I can give it to you if you like the sound of it, but it's not traditional just strings playing. It's all these different weird stringy effects. So I basically played around with it to create this layer behind the song of like a, I guess like sound design, but it's really, really faint, riding, creeping strings. You can't really hear them that much in the mix, which means either, you know, they're so subtle, or I've maybe need to bring them up a bit. The aim is just for me to create like a tension, you know, for you to actually feel the song building. Damien Rice does that in his music. Listen, if you really, really listen to what you think might be silence, there's actually like 3 or 4 instruments playing really subtle noises, and I love that kind of stuff, like detail. Next I've got some, these are just some, like, as I said, like filling up the back of the space with little noises. This is just me plucking piano, and it adds a bit of rhythm. You want to be something, don't you want to fly? And then this is like more, it's like a weird spacey synth, just to make the song sound like a bit dreamy. These are some dreamy like harmonics, just harmonizing with certain parts of the song whenever it moves on. This is EBO, which is like I don't know if you've ever used one. This little device you put on a guitar and it vibrates, and so it just sustains a note. And if you record a guitar through it, it's like, it sounds like it's delayed, but it's basically completely mechanical. I use those kind of things for risers. I guess that's what it's called technically, like a riser. Use a synth or maybe a cymbal to build tension, or to split up sections. So I've got that EBO fading in and out whenever big sections drop down or rise up. And I've got 3 of them, so they're obviously panned. I think 1 left, 1 right, and probably 1 a wee bit more in the middle, or left. So like they'll come on over each other just to create space. I've got my bass, which is just a double bass, which I programmed. I've got like a jazz bass set in EQ, where it's pretty simple. I try not to put too much on a bass. This is a bass writer plugin by Waves. I can give you a bunch of Waves stuff if you want it. It's kind of like a compressor. Basically, it reads the data you put through, it reads the bass, and automatically adjusts the fader like a real engineer might. Instead of automation, it automatically rides the bass so that when the bass is lowering and dropping it, it's kind of like a compressor, but it's made for bass specifically. You see it here. Basically, I set it to like a setting which is for upright jazz bass, so it gives it more of a human feel. I think this might be just little sound effects that I've recorded with the bass. Just to give it some kind of rhythm in the background. These are all guitars that I actually recorded last night. Another technique for creating space, creating weird sounds. I basically took the guitar and I held, I think maybe 2 or 3 chords that worked, basic chords that rings out, and works in the right key, and I just recorded it going ding and ding, and then I put it through a program called Pulse Stretch, which is where you put this audio through, and it stretches it, but it retains the quality, so you can really slow it down, but you can hear every gritty piece of the guitar. So I'll show you what I mean. To be honest, they're just random. I just recorded them as long as I hit the right notes. Stretched them, did loads of random different things, brought them all in, chopped them up, and just started placing them over the track at certain transitional bits, just to sort of give another element of like this kind of sound design in the background. Because I want the song to sound big and minimal and spacious, but also I want in every bit of the background in the spaces loads of little harmonies and things creeping in. And you can see like I've fed them all through reverb, like I explained earlier. I just had to turn that off. Next, we got the vocals. So these are just different takes that I've edited together.
As my mind is in its cave, but there's nothing I see at all.
So they're just all clean. Most of them are clean. They're clean here on the left, and then I just feed them into the Vox group 31. Then we go to there, bus 31, and then they're in here, and then this is where I've got my EQ. Cut off the low end, a little boost there, a little boost there. It was just a pop vocal kind of thing. I usually just use preset and then adjust it to the vocal I'm using. I mean, that's what they're there for. And then Isotope Nectar, which is my go-to vocal production suite. I've downloaded that. I'm going to send it to you. If you're interested, you can install it for free. It's magic. You can use it to make any vocal sound amazing. And you can also use it if you're writing vocals. So because I can't sing that well, I can open it up and I can put on the auto tune, and I can sing through a microphone and nail whatever idea I'm trying to capture and give it to a singer, and then they'll sing it after. You go in here, you open it up, and it's got some amazing presets. Go through the presets, like you've got some like David Bowie style rock stuff. There's new wave kind of style. There's some house music kind of vocals. These are all the actual effects here. There's pitch, gate, harmony, saturation, de-esser, EQ, compressor, FX, delay. I mean, some of the presets, you just click it and it just sounds like a jazz record. It sounds like a house record. So if you get a really good vocal take and you can get it to sound really good without this, right volume, nice space, nice EQ, maybe some compression. You don't need this kind of thing, but for some styles of music, there's some like amazing little tricks in here that'll make them sound cool. And then this harmony function I was just telling you about, it's class. It tunes. You can pitch your vocals so that it's in tune with the key that you're going for. You can even start detection. It'll tell you what key the vocal's in, and then you can do this harmony thing, and you can turn up the harmonies. See here, and you can move them about, and it'll automatically add 4 or 5 whatever harmonies in the same key on top. It's got that kind of T-Pain effect that you hear like Bon Iver do, and it's really fun to play around with. I hope I haven't added anything just now. I was trying to show you that.
But there's no
So yeah, that's what I put on my vocal chain, and then I'll feed that main vocal through the reverb here. Go to bus, reverb long, then you turn it up. I put a big bit of reverb, a little bit of reverb, and a medium reverb. Doesn't matter what order they're in. And then I've got some backing vocals too for the end. Oh shit, let me turn that off. And then some drums. Pretty simple. The programmed. Got drum room, which has got nothing in it. Drum room. I just use some software, but it gives me the session and the files so that I've got like a room mic, hi-hat, kick, snare, and tom. Go into my kick, send that to New York drums, turn the volume to 0, so it's sending complete copy of that into the New York drums track, which is here now, and I've just got it up a little bit, so I've got that kick, got a compressor and EQ. A little bit, pan the hi-hat left, hi-hat right, put them through. There's reverbs, and that's kind of like a basic mix, and then at the end of your mix, as I said, turn off your gain, and you can hear it go 3D.
I don't wanna be somebody who lingers on this page. I'm writing over the lines as my mind is in its cage. I don't wanna be waiting for something that I know will never arrive. You know this thing is creeping, but it makes me feel alive. And it drives me up this wall into the place where I will fall. Now I'm looking in the mirror, but there's nothing I see at all. So tell me that you need me, 'cause I know that I'll feel alright. Don't you want to be something? Don't you want to fly? I just want to feel again. I just want to remember this. I'll walk until I run, until the moon becomes the sun.